All right, so let's start looking at this. And we're trying to figure out which car is going to save more money. So we're going to have to figure out, or which car save more fuel, excuse me. So we want to figure out how much gas they're going to save. If I switch from 35 or 34 miles per gallon to 54 miles per gallon. So something that might help is, since we're trying to look at fuel.
I'm gonna say go. Because when I get the changes from both of them, we got the same number. So would that be my answer? I mean, would that be your reason?
If that's what you get, yeah. We're gonna look through it though. So since we're trying to get fuel, we want to know about how much gas it saves, and they've given us miles per gallon. And we want to know about the fuel, which usually comes in gallons. It might be nice to change this so y'all don't have to zoom in on that. It might be nice to change these all to figure out how many gallons per mile. Since we're trying to look at gallons anyway. So if we look at, say, our compact car, it's 34 miles per gallon. Which means to get gallons per mile, I know 1 gallon goes for 34 miles. So if I put that in the calculator, 1 gallon over 34 miles, how many gallons does it take to go 1 mile? Put that in your calculator. What do we get? As a decimal. Yeah, 1 over 34. You did for the 100 miles. I'm just at this point. Okay.
That helps me.
0.029 gallons of fuel per mile. So very, very little amount in that compact car. So it's not much at all. So do the same thing and see what the hybrid's going to get. How much gas, how many gallons would it take for the hybrid to go 54 miles? Yeah, we set this up the same way. We know it's got 1 gallon that goes 54 miles. When we type it in the calculator, what it's doing is it's making the denominator be a 1. That's what happens when we type it in the calculator. So what we get as our decimal version here for our hybrid, we get 0.0185 gallons per mile. So it doesn't take much gas at all to go a mile. We're going to keep a couple of decimal places, but we're not going to take like tons and tons and tons. You could do it as 0.019. I'd be okay with that. It does very similar things. So then do the same thing with the SUV and sedan. So that gives you kind of a blueprint to get started with, because we're trying to figure out how much it changes if I go from here to here. We want to see which one changes more. And honestly, looking at 1 mile might not give us a big enough contrast to see, but we can start there. So do the same thing for the SUV and for the sedan. See what we get.
It's just how it's worded is weird to think
It's all
about.
good. I know.
If you have mile per gallon, then gallon per mile.
Yeah, we're just switching up because we're looking at how much fuel you're saving. We're not looking at how many miles you could go. We're looking for how much gas you save. So we're looking at the gallons. That's what we want. So that's what we want on top.
It's just weird to me.
Yeah. It is, and it's an awkward way to think about because we don't typically think about gallons per mile most of the time.
It's miles per gallon.
We can use units in whatever way we choose. Units are tools, not laws.
No, it's
We're
a
just
now.
habitually used to cars being talked about as miles per gallon, but I mean, honestly, in real life, if we think about how much gas I have in my tank, I care more about how many miles I can go than what I got left. I want to know of this gallon, how many gallons I got, how far can I go? I would much rather worry about that than, I don't care how many miles I get per gallon. I already got the car. I'm not buying another one. So for our SUV, which I'm gonna grab, I need another color. I'll do green. What are we talking about, gents? So looking at our SUV, how would we set that one up? Mm-hmm. 1 gallon over 18 miles. Because we know it's 18 miles per gallon. So how many gallons per mile?
Just repeat it with a 6 at the end.
0.055555. That's just it, rounding it off there. And we could move that rounding up here and do it as 3 decimal places because then it matches the other. 0.056. Works for me. And then we've got one more. We've got that sedan. So our regular car, like family, but also chonky. Setting it up the same way. 1 gallon per 28 miles. We're going to take 3 decimal places. We're going to round it right there. 0.036, 0.056. I'm going to go up here and change the this one so it rounds off at the same place. 1.9, so we're not 8.5. So then everything has 3 decimal places. Just making things matchy-matchy. So if I replace the compact car with the hybrid car, how much gas will I save per mile? What's the difference if I switch from blue to pink? And we can take our rounded off ones. So when we're looking at the difference, the change, what operation is that? You're thinking it, we're just not getting the word all the way out. The difference? Subtraction. So what's the difference between the compact and the hybrid? Subtracting one from the other. Give me a number. Not that one. I want one relevant to this. The difference between this guy and this guy. Blue and pink. If I have a teeny tiny little blue car and I decide I don't want my compact anymore, I'm going to switch for a hybrid. Every mile, how much gas will I save? What's the difference in these 2 gallons per mile? 0.0. I'm just going to not put the last zero on. So gallons per mile. So it doesn't seem like much. Like, that's not a lot. But what would we get if we switched my SUV out for a sedan? So green to green. Green to purple. 0.02 gallons per mile. We're looking at the difference between them. So down here, 0.01 and 0.02 does not seem like very much. What if I drive, I don't know, maybe 50 miles a day? Or what? Maybe even I only drive 10 miles a day. So like, it doesn't even have to be much when we start thinking about this adding up. Because if I drive 10 miles in a day, how many miles is that in a year? So I'm just giving you a problem here. So if we drive 10 miles per day, yep, times 10. We put a zero on the end. So if I drive 3,650 miles in a year, how many gallons of gas would I need? Or how many gallons of gas would I save here versus here? If I'm saving 0.01 gallons per mile, and I drive 3,650 miles, now divide. Here a second. I'm gonna.
Not multiply.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So we're just gonna. Oh, hang on a second. Boop.
never mind.
You're good. So our compact to hybrid, we have 0.01 gallons per mile. And from our SV to sedan, 0.02 gallons per mile.
Once you multiply it.
All right, so I've just rewritten things over here, just so I have a little bit more space. So this is our example. So from our compact to our hybrid, we were saving 0.01 gallons per mile. And from our SUV to our sedan, we saved 0.02 gallons per mile. So if we're trying to figure out how many gallons I would save in this theoretical year, I want the word miles to cancel out. So if I have 0.01 gallons per mile, and I want the word miles to cancel out, we're going to put this on top, 3650, over one question. So we multiply these together. We just set it up so the word I want to go away cancels out. I don't want to wind up with miles squared. Gross. So in our compact versus hybrid in this theoretical year, how many gallons of gas would I save? What is 0.01 times 3,650?
73. No, actually, I take that back. Please do.
36.5.
Yeah, it'll be 36.5
Yeah.
gallons. So if I switch my compact for a hybrid and drive 10 miles a day for a year, I'll save about 36 gallons of gas, which if gas prices stay at like $4, that's a pretty good chunk of change. Let's see what happens with the SUVs. Same year, the SUV to the sedan. So I'm going to set it up the same way though. So we're going to have our 0.02 gallons per mile. And we're still looking at that same theoretical year where I'm taking my 3,650 miles, and I want the miles to cancel out. It's over 1 because every whole number is always over 1. We get what as our decimal version? 73 point anything?
No.
Even numbers, we like that. So 73 gallons, which is a pretty big difference. So in decimal form, looking at 1 mile, it really didn't save all that much. It saved 1/100th of a gallon. But then if we think about over the course of a year, is there a pretty big difference between the savings on the two? So then let's look back at our question. Which of these replacements saves more gas? Which one saves more gas? A, B, or C if you're looking at your book? B. B saves more gas. By about double. And actually, yeah, we're just going to go with about double because we rounded. Only since we rounded. But yes.
If we didn't round it, we would not be as much.
It would be almost, though. It'd be really close.
Technically, a 1.89.
Double. That L just looked weird. Okay. So this kind of unit conversion and these ratios, this rational thinking, where we're going to be thinking in a lot of fractions lately, it does happen in the real world. Miles per gallon is a ratio. Yards per, I don't know, I was going to say, is it yards per down? That is a ratio of thinking. That is rational thinking. That is what this is about. Just saying, that is the extent of my football knowledge, y'all. I was gonna say it was I was in my head thinking really hard about whether it was yards or meters. Football, not football. Not American football, not European football.
Or you just call it soccer.
I was gonna say I had to think really hard about whether it was yards or meters.
No, it's yours.
It's technically only a difference of about 3 inches between the two, but meh. So yeah, I think I can still manage my marching band steps though. All right, so we're going to be working a lot with ratios and rational thinkings, a lot of fraction things, and a lot of units. Which means we're going to do some measurements and conversions and units on that, which means we need to remember some things about like a ruler. Because we're going to do some things with actual measurements on stuff. So, I know. I'm horribly cruel. Oh my gosh. So, I know. I'm terribly cruel. I'm trying to think if it's on the next page for you guys because I know I cut some pages. Oh, I did give you guys a work page for this. So, it's actually on page 122. And it has a really zoomed in portion of a ruler. So that is a 1 inch on a ruler like this. Just zoomed in real far. So what I want you to do is I want you to label all the little lines. Which one means what thing? Or things. Trying to label them. It's been a hot minute since we thought real hard about what these little dashes were. But we're going to do activities where we actually measure things and we're actually looking at things and measuring. And so we need to be able to be accurate as close as possible. So label things. If you want to get an actual ruler out to look at it, that is totally fine. But we're just measuring it, like marking it on the scale. And we will do things that involve measurement, though I may give IKEA rulers to the back corner so that they don't make bad choices. Because they can't hurt each other with IKEA rulers. Y'all may wind up with the paper ones.
Paper. Ugh.
Just because of, honestly, half our rulers wind up with notches because we sit over there just like sawing.
I wonder who.
I think they can hurt each other.
I wonder who. Somebody was sawing her rulers apparently.
There's little dents in like half my rulers because people
I
like
wonder who did it.
whack them on the edge or saw them on the edge of the counter.
Clowners?
Counter.
Parts literally on your
Clowners.
I did not. There was no L. I think I said counters.
What? Not your line.
But you know what I meant.
Now you're lying.
So, but I do pocket the IKEA rulers for when people make silly choices.
Oh,
That's my
yeah.
I love my email.
Like I can always bust out the fabric ones. Okay, so I want us to measure to mark these down, what each of these little dashes means. Because we're tomorrow gonna work with like physical old school 90s style maps.
Boo.
Not maps.
Or I could just use Google Maps.
Physical maps.
Really? Atlas.
Was it Saturday night?
Christopher
How to read
Columbus
that
used that
too?
exact one right there.
No, he definitely did not.
Is it that I know?
I don't know how they got it wrong, but
Huh?
what did
I
they
know
keep
how
it
it
bro?
goes.
No.
Wait, how did they even invent GPS?
They took these and digitized them. This is GPS before the days of GPS. You used to drive around with these in the car.
Yeah, but how do I turn it online?
You don't. You look at it. Let's see. Let's find a name.
How do you know where you are?
How do you know where you are?
Road maps. Road
That's what
markers.
this
Oh,
is.
shut up, nephew. How can you tell?
So here is,
Nephew?
look, this is Chicago.
Don't even know my
Map just
name?
for Chicago.
How do you know the coordinates? You know, like latitude and
So
Oh,
that,
I know where we are. We're like in.
so wait, I'm gonna put down in here. There we go.
Come down this way. Let's see. I'm trying to see. Okay, I see Lebanon.
Didn't even know where you were.
I see Greenwood. Marion. So we're like in.
Big yellow boxes in your neighborhood.
Oh,
Right there.
nephew.
32 latitude.
Usually when they have a yellow box, it usually means there's gonna be a separate map before that.
This is my first time,
What do you got?
second time.
This has all the states.
President.
Some of them are cut to pieces. Because there's Pennsylvania, maps of Pennsylvania cities,
A celebration.
adds the middle.
So there's even ads even on the paper.
Okay, here's the Indiana. Doesn't even have all the roads, doesn't have most roads. Then they expect you to have an individual city map.
St. Vincent.
That's what's nice on here. So it's got, this is Michigan Road, it's got 465. Yeah. It goes from pretty much edge to edge. It goes from Carmel to this picture right there. But yeah, we gotta look at these. Chicago, they got a lot of detail on Chicago. Because it's probably paved with Chicagoland.
Is that on GPS too?
I mean, it is, mostly, if it's accurate.
Y'all got going on.
Bro, it's the
You might wanna put these as fractions.
What y'all doing?
Because we're not looking for the measurements of these, I wanna know if we were to have something that ended at this spot, that would be like, how much of an inch? So this is 1 inch.
Maybe.
So we're not actually measuring these, I'm just saying, if I had,
I'm a what?
like on that, this guy, look, from 0 to 1, and I landed on this long line in the middle, how much of an inch would that be?
That's happy, bro.
So then we have slightly longer lines here,
I mean, he dangerous.
and that's, this guy is half. That's what we're measuring here. So half, and then these.
Hey, I got an OG
Number here for your skin.
What's that? Yeah.
Give me your resist.
Trying to speak forward. That way they don't mind.
Here's
It's expensive. That's literally all I did. What's that? Gotta get something out of it.
first ads.
And then, no, look at this, look at this. It's
That was good.
like
then they
not
say-
even touching it.
And then they be like, don't you hate those fake ads? Ignore the fake ads.
So look, his thumb is right there. It's not even touching the screen. And he's moving.
Making me so strong. Let's get this to, like, come on now.
Sometimes it's oh, I'm forgetting the word for it now. It's like feigned incompetence to frustrate you enough that they're doing the game so badly that you have to get in there and do it right.
That's the word now? I didn't know there was a, like a...
Yeah, there's a thing about it, and I don't think that's quite right, but it's close enough to the concept of it.
Yeah.
But it's like fake incompetence where they pretend that they're really bad at something in the hopes of you doing it better.
Yeah.
It's almost a malicious compliance kind of deal.
They trick you out so that you think that you can do better.
All right, so what we're looking for on things like this are our labeling of our fractions. And a lot of these have more than one value to them. So I have all of them up here, and I know a lot of people just probably put the bottom ones, which is absolutely valid. We're just going to have to make sure we simplify. Because this half in the middle, that could be 1/2 inch. We could say it's 2/4 of an inch. It's 4/8 of an inch. 8/16 of an inch. Those all mean the same thing. It's just the little ones that only have one. The littlest ones are 1/16. What the heck? That's how those little marks work. You don't have to necessarily have all of them
Wait, why are they in that? Why are they in?
in all the different colors. They're the different units.
No,
So
we have to-
half, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4.
Why are they in fractions? I put it at 0.5 and all that.
Yeah,
You can do that,
Yeah, that's what I
but the decimal for 16 is not pretty.
Same difference.
And if you use
decimal for eight,
if you use
not
only the
right.
first two numbers, it's good enough.
0.25 is not bad, but once we get down into these ones, your decimals are kind of gross.
Run the
But there's a
computer.
difference between 0.1 and 1/16, because 0.1 is 1/10, which is almost an eighth. So 1/10 is over here, 1/16 is way over here. So if we're looking at 1 inch, if we're looking at like woodworking, the difference between 1/10 of an inch and 1/16 of an inch is enough to make your project not work anymore.
Or surgery.
Or surgery. That's the difference between I got the thing out of the heart and my guy.
Oh, bye-bye.
Oops, you cut the patient open
Oopsies.
oh, she's safe.
Yeah. Or
Qualified to do this, I still got in.
so we're going to be doing things with measurement tomorrow, and we're going to be using measurements to do unit conversions on things, and I will probably wind up disassembling some of those atlases so we can have individual maps.
We don't care.
Just because the maps that print in the book are like really trash quality. Because there are some in the book, but they're like so dark you can hardly read the dang things.